What I saw is kind of a new take on Frankenstein, and we've always talked about trying to do that. We actually developed a couple ideas which didn't work, but I really thought what worked so well in Lazarus was Frankenstein retold. Of course, in this movie, she's a woman, or he's a she, but that's what attracted me to it in the first place. We never know who can or can't be scary. We really try and work with actors who haven't done scary movies in our movies. So Ethan Hawke, not only had he not done a scary movie, he really doesn't like scary movies before he did Sinister. And so Olivia has really done a lot of different things. She hadn't done too many, or I don't think she'd done any kind of real genre movies. So I really look for that in actors. We really try and find that. So we sent it to her with our fingers crossed, and when she read it and responded the way she did, we were really very pleased about it. Zoe goes from a very normal normal doctor to a very not normal doctor in this movie, and I think that's a fun transformation for an actor. I think it was fun for her to get to do that, and she really turns into the definition of evil by the end of the movie, and you know, it was a great thing. They do it first on a dog, and obviously that's all they're gonna do. And through a series of circumstances, Olivia dies, and they've got the machine there, so they use it to bring her or to attempt to bring her back to life. But initially, obviously, that wasn't the plan. At least that wasn't the plan for a lot longer than what happens in the movie. The idea was to try it on multiple different things that weren't humans until they got it perfected. But they're forced by a series of circumstances to have to try it out before they're kind of ready. When Zoe dies, who's the character that Olivia plays, they're panicked, and especially the character played by Mark Duplass is really panicked, and he's kind of the brainchild of this machine. And she's gone, and there's no other recourse, like with any person who dies. And so so I'm sure what's going through Mark's mind is it can't get any worse. So they're forced to try and, they're not forced, but they decide, or Mark decides to try and bring her back to life, like the dog came back to life, you know, 30 minutes ago in the movie. But like I said, the science isn't quite perfected, so she does come back, but she doesn't come back quite the same way as she was before she died. David Gelb also has a trailer company. He cuts marketing materials for movies and TV shows, and he's very good with scares, and he's very good at that. So I think Matt noticed that, and I really give Matt credit for picking David and supporting David and pushing David through our system. But it turns out David did a great job, and I think the actors, we got really high caliber actors in this movie, and I think one of the reasons is that they really felt like David was a cool artist and had done something very unusual and something interesting, and so they committed to the movie. So he actually really helped get us a cast, even though he hadn't done other narrative features. The signature thing for us, I feel like, is that something about the movie has to feel different. So I almost would say the signature thing is that there isn't a thing. I think the minute that you start to say, like, look, you have to have a woman in jeopardy, or an evil woman in this case, or you have to have a jump scare in the first 10 minutes of the movie, I think the minute that you start to put a framework on the creative material in a movie or in a television show, they start to get boring and bland. So the only thing I actually kind of insist on when we're trying to decide whether or not to do a movie or a TV show is there something about it that's different? Is there something about it you haven't seen before? Does it feel original? Sometimes original really connects, and sometimes it really doesn't connect. But for me, I can only get up in the morning if we're trying to do new things, not kind of repeating what we've done before. We're fascinated with with dying and what happens after you die, because I think almost none of us, 99.9% of us don't want to die. And all of us want to believe that something happens after you die, that it's not just like falling asleep. Whether or not you do believe it or don't believe it, it's certainly comforting to think that there may be somewhere else to go. So I think anytime there's a true story of someone who's died for a couple seconds or 20 seconds and come back, there's a rush to find out where they went. I think kind of one of the fun things about Lazarus is it's not only about coming back to life, but kind of where you went when you died and what happened to you when you died. But I think the fascination for that is that we all kind of want to live forever and hope someday we will. The Lazarus Effect is a new telling of the Frankenstein story. In this case, Frankenstein is a she, and the Lazarus Effect is about a woman who dies, and her fiance. They're both scientists, and her fiance is able to bring her back to life, but the woman that she comes back to life to is not the woman that she once was.